I have some really exciting news. There are two really popular open source secret scanning projects out there. Tools that find things like passwords, API keys, tokens, that kind of thing. The first is called Truffle, which I originally wrote back in 2016 and then co-founded a company called Truffle Security to basically work on that tool full time. The second is called GitLeaks, which was authored by this guy, Zach Rice, back in 2018. And he's been maintaining it on the side of his day job basically ever since, like in the nights and weekends, that kind of thing. Okay, so the news. Zach just quit that day job to join Truffle Security so he could take that passion of his side hobby and make it his full-time job to work on awesome open source secrets detection stuff with us. I'm not making this up. In his first 2 weeks, he implemented an algorithm called Aho Korosik that made Truffle way faster. And we're going to do a separate blog post on that, explain all the details there. But first, I just had to hop on a plane and go meet him and ask him some questions about GitLeaks. So I recorded that interview with him, and I'm going to share it with y'all now.
College, we were writing a bus tracker app, and I accidentally committed some secrets to a GitHub repo, and I didn't know any better. This has been a story that started when I was sophomore in college. I started GitLeaks as a tool to learn Golang, and it was just something I did after work. And I was inspired by some tools that I saw in Kali Tools, one of them being Truffle, and I thought this is like an interesting problem to solve. I wrote it really as a tool for like red teamers or bug bounty hunters to use as kind of running one-off scans on individual repos. The rest is kind of history. I've just been maintaining it ever since.
If we were to go back in time to software that you wrote in college on github.com, can we still see the old key in your revision history?
I don't think so. I think I deleted that repo long ago.
Okay, just to pop in real quick, I actually fact-checked him on that, and I did find a password from his college days still on GitHub. Then I teased him about it over Slack, and he went into my GitHub and found a password from my college days. Thankfully, neither password can log into anything anymore, but wow, is it humbling to be reminded of how widespread this issue is. So you mentioned that it took off in popularity. Do you have a guess about how many times it's been installed?
Based on homebrew installs and Docker pulls and GitHub downloads, I would say in the millions.
Millions. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a huge number. Are you able to, wrap your mind around that these days, or is that still just so large a number you can't even?
No, I mean, I can wrap my head around it, and I've kind of accepted the responsibility of maintaining this thing.
Personally, I could never wrap my head around it. My best guess, Truffle is probably ran over 1 million times every month, but I can't visualize 1 million. The best or closest I get to it is when I go to security conferences and I'm just humbled by how many different people say that they use Truffle. Do you think that since authoring GitLeaks, the overall amount of secrets leaked out has gotten better or worse over time?
I think worse, and that's just based on the headlines coming out. I mean, we had the breaches with Okta and Twitter and Circle recently. It's just something that doesn't seem to go away with more and more services coming online and having APIs. It seems like a problem that's not going away. You have new engineers coming into the field that don't know any better, and through no fault of their own, because there's no one telling them not to do these things.
We go back to your story of when you first leaked this secret out as a sophomore in college. When would have been the time to educate you at that point?
I think, God, yeah, that's a good question. To me, it's the most important security issue because you're essentially giving someone the keys to the kingdom. If they get their hands on a secret, AWS, GCP, I mean, that is big time.
Yeah.
You don't want that to happen.
So I always thought it was interesting that tools like GitLeaks and Truffle have kind of this dual purpose. You had kind of hinted initially that this tool would be used by red teamers or by offensive security engineers. What are your thoughts around that first use case of, like, I mean, sometimes ethical hackers, but honestly, sometimes maybe even unethical hackers using these tools to break into things and use them offensively?
Right? I mean, it's a security tool, and it's gray hat kind of by definition. You know, bad and good actors can use it. But I think ultimately it does move the needle in progress because these vulnerabilities are being surfaced, and organizations and individuals can take action to remediate that.
Are there any features that are coming out that you're particularly excited about or comfortable sharing?
Well, no spoilers, but I am very excited about the next 12 months or so.
I can't understate what this means to the open source security community now that Zach gets to work on this full time. There's going to be so many cool open source features in the coming months, so just make sure to follow us to get the latest.